This conference will now be recorded.
Open up for public comment. Anybody from the public that wishes to speak to the TAC? Is there anybody online that wishes to speak to the TAC?
We have 6 members online and nobody's raising any questions.
Okay, thank you. All right, moving right along, we will go to agenda item 3, which is a staff update. This is pages 6 through 7 in your packet. As you'll see on the screen and in the packet, we have the upcoming KTMPO meetings listed. All those meetings are scheduled for 9:30 a.m. here in this room at the city offices, except for the Bicycle and Pedestrian Advisory Committee, which will meet at 2:30 p.m. But that meeting will still be held in this room. Other updates that I have are KTMPO is going through a full audit through TxDOT right now. We started that process last month, and we have a follow-up call with him today at 11. And then we will have some resolution to the audit prior to the next TAC meeting. So I can provide status on the audit. TMPO meeting, staff attended the Texas MPO Association meeting last Thursday and Friday. I was in person, the rest of the staff attended. There was a lot of good discussion. The biggest area of discussion, of course, was the 3 new TMAs in the state, as well as 1 new designated MPO is funding formula, what that's going to look like for us. At this time, it looks like there's about a 2% increase in overall funds to the state, but we've got to share our pot of money different ways. So at the March meeting, we'll be discussing formulas for distribution of our planning dollars. That's the biggest area of concern. Then maybe in subsequent meetings, we'll start discussions on the category 2, 7, and 9 formulas for those MPOs that allocate those funds. The new greenhouse gas rules have come out, and the state has to adopt their top targets by January, February timeframe. MPO will also have to adopt targets 180 days following that. That being said, there was a lot of discussion held on how we're supposed to get these greenhouse gas numbers. Apparently, the state is going to provide us with a formula to develop our numbers to adopt. And those numbers will all be based on gasoline sales in our region. My big concern with that is not everybody that buys gasoline in our region is in our region. You know, we have a giant bucket on 35. Those people aren't just here traveling in the MPO region all day and all night. So there's some concern on that, as well as, of course, out in West Texas with some of the agricultural type equipment and things like that. We're have to be taken into consideration. This will be the first go around. I think there's going to be a lot of confusion, a lot of concern as we move forward with determining the targets set forth by the state and federal government. But moving forward, hopefully we'll have an opportunity to address some of the concerns, so we can have an appropriate methodology for determining what the greenhouse gases, how we measure this. Yes, ma'am.
We had a few comments that individuals can't hear everyone, so if we could just raise our voices a bit.
Okay.
Thank you.
I'll try.
Thank you, sir.
So that's where we stand with the greenhouse gases. And I anticipate there'll be some additional conversation with that also since the state will have adopted its targets already, and hopefully we'll have a formula we're supposed to use. other staff updates are, we had a couple of administrative amendments to the MTP. The Nolanville N40-03 project that is moving the let date from FY 2023 to FY 2024 and increasing the CAT 7 funding by $751,925 for a new total of $2,676,766. The federal increase will be $601,541. And there is available CAT set to cover this amount. And then C45-02, which is the SH9 interchange turnaround to westbound business 190, moving that let date for that project from FY 2025 to FY 24. The RAISE grant, if anybody's interested in the RAISE grant that comes out from DOT, that NOFO has been released. The deadline to submit grant applications is February 28th. And the project call, go ahead, James.
I think all of you should email I sent out. We finished reviewing our projects and setting up the spreadsheets for objective scoring. If you have any questions about those, please feel free to reach out. I think we set the deadline for submitting those back to us in January 19 or somewhere around there. There's always a little flexibility in that date. We also just got under contract with our consultant to assist with the objective scoring, so they're starting work and we'll our plan to finish towards the end of January too. So the objective scoring for the building projects will be done by TAC members. We'll be working with them. I think the plan is once they finish those scores, they will be shared with TAC during the priority discussion following scoring. Just for reference. So that's the update on the project call. And one note on those administrative amendments, we haven't officially made them. We're planning to. Just want to provide notice to the TAC policy board before we move forward. If there are any major concerns, we did receive those requests from City Hall and City of Commerce Code. So.
All right, and the last staff update I have, air quality readings, which were 49 and 49 parts per billion. And with that, I'm open to any questions, comments on the staff update. All right. Seeing none, we will move to agenda item 4, which is an action item regarding approval of the minutes from the November 1st, 2023 meeting. A motion? Make a motion to approve. Motion? And a second. Any further discussion, revisions needed? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye. Aye. All those opposed? Motion carries. Agenda item 5 is a discussion and action item regarding the initiation of public involvement for the 2023 public engagement plan update. James.
Thanks, Ryan. We shared this last meeting, but we're requesting the initiation of involvement. Kind of working for the past few months on a major update to our now called engagement plan. Some of the significant things that are changing is we're trying to add some tools and objective measuring things in there for review of how effective engagement is. We've added in a chart that just kind of clarifies the different types of public engagement, from informing all the way to the more active, collaborative meetings that are two-way communications. And then there is a change, removing the requirement for this action item for TAC and all support to formally approve the initiation of required public involvement. In our current plan, you have to create the request approval to start public engagement. And staff during the discussions were thinking that under sort of timeline. Improved in that manner. We're not trying to circumvent approval, but there will still be everything post public or changes to TAC policy board approval. But we thought that removing that requirement will ease the administration on staff. So is there concerns with that? We discuss. There will be a 45-day public comment period that will start on December 18th, finish February 1st, full meetings in January, and then the final plan will be brought back for consideration of approval in February.
Any questions for James? Like I said, this is a discussion action item to initiate public involvement in this plan. If you haven't had a chance to review the plan, I encourage you to do so. Some of us may slow down this time of the year, some of us may not. Find a way to fit it in your schedule. I encourage everybody to kind of review that they may have, so that it's not just staff throwing something out there. We want to make sure everybody is, staff is welcome to any feedback that we get.
All right. Receive any other confirmation for the two public hearings you scheduled?
We have not, we're this weekend, probably before Christmas, we're starting to look at locations where we want to have that. So if you have a suggestion, would like one, and we can also do more than two, that's just a requirement, and so that's for minimum planning. We'll let everyone know when those are, once we've nailed them down.
Any other questions? Seeing none, I will entertain a motion to recommend initiation.
Second.
Concerns? All those in favor say aye. Aye. All those opposed? Motion carries. All right, agenda item 6 is a discussion item regarding the new TAC small and rural representative member. As you may recall, the KTMPO bylaws were revised at the October 25th policy board meeting. One of these revisions was to create a small and rural, well, that's fun to say, small and rural representative position on the TAC for jurisdictions in the KTMPO planning area with a population of under 10,000. As we're already past the first meeting of the fiscal year, which is typically October, we did send out notification to each of these jurisdictions. What you have in your packet are the responses we received from Bartlett, Morgan's Point Resort, Nolanville, Rogers, and to my understanding, prior to the policy board meeting, we will receive a recommendation for consideration from the city of Holland. But this is just a discussion item. We want to bring this information back so you're aware of who's been submitted for consideration at the policy board. And provide any, having a discussion on this. Any questions, comments, any discussion? And of course, policy board will take action at their meeting to consider these recommendations and make the actual appointment of that representative. And next year, we'll send out the solicitation membership again. Yes. Seeing nothing else, move to agenda item 7, which is a discussion item regarding an update on the KTMPO FY24 safety
been around. Set this target every year. The deadline is February, and we're required to, under the past act and also the current legislation, to set targets for the number of fatalities per million miles traveled, number of serious injuries per million miles traveled, and the number of non-motorized fatalities and serious injuries combined for each fiscal year. I have some graphs next, but just for your schedule for everybody, we'll be discussing these this day and next week with policy board, and then we'll have a resolution in January after the new year. If we need to have more discussion, we can always push that to February, but if not, we'll do it January. These are not draft, and we don't have solid, we don't have a recommended target. Through our discussions with the safety working group, kind of the recommendation was to provide some different levels of reduction, degrees of reduction, reducing the current trend line of fatal crashes and injuries, and then the non-motorized version. So all this information is listed in your packet. We looked at TxDOT at a 2% reduction, so we were looking at their methodology and how we would adapt that for us. So we also have added in 10%, 25%, 50%, and 100% over 5 years. Again, what they do. We don't have to do 5 years, we can do a longer period to set the trend line. That would change those numbers for each year. TxDOT, as far as the fatal crashes, they also, their goal is 0, and so they just have from now to annual 2050, they want to get 0 by that point. So what are the crashes? How many crashes need to be reduced to get to 0 in 2050? They're not caring about the current trend line. The safety working group felt like that was sort of arbitrary and not realistic. We should really be looking at the past few years of data to kind of set our goals and targets. So that's kind of where we're at. Jason, I don't know if you want to say anything. Yes.
You hit on what I wanted to get to was what's realistic versus, in the term that was thrown out during the meeting, what's a feel good number? And bear with me, I'm getting over some conditions, so I'll talk as long as my voice is done. The goal is 0 fatalities and as few injuries as possible. That's our goal. Separate that from our target. Our target lets us know how close we're getting to our goal. So the goal 0, the accusation debate, that's an arbitrary number. Yeah, I guess. It's also dictated from the state. Their goal is 0, 2050. Debate, okay. But for us, it's given to us legislatively. So whether it's arbitrary or not, it's given to us. So that's our goal. Set that aside. What's our target? That's what we need to focus on. Is what's a realistic target for a reduction in the number of crashes and rate of crashes? I think that's the question we should focus our attention on. Based on our data, it might be useful. In the last meeting, we looked at the statewide numbers. Maybe show what the statewide rate of increase has been over the past few years, what our rate of increase has been. And then if we're going to say we want to decrease, to try to make it clear, we're decreasing the rate of increase. So we're not bringing it down, but here's everybody's favorite term, we're flattening that curve. So what's a realistic number to flatten that hill? Is it 2%? Is it 2%? Maybe it's 5%. And then this is where the working group, every time we've had this discussion, we get off into the weeds. I'm trying to separate different steps of this process. The goal is, here's our targets, let us know we're reaching that goal. And what's our strategies? So the term I threw around last time was stochastic, which means it's random but it's predictable. You know there's going to be crashes. You can say there's a reasonable likelihood that there's crashes in certain places. We can't say with reasonable assurance when or how severe, which day, or time. So there's a certain amount of just randomness to it that we can't control. We can have strategies to identify where a project is likely to help us reach that target. Like we just, through this process, keep strategies separate from the target, separate from the goal, understanding they're connected and one supports the other. I think I'm losing my voice, so I'm going to shut up. Paul, I see your wheels are turning.
Me, it's not that complicated. We should strive for zero. 2050, 2027, you just got, that's kind of where my mind is. It kind of transcends the statistics. It's almost a moral obligation for engineering and social scientists to strive for the safest system that we can possibly have. And yeah, that's kind of where I'm at. That's how my wheels are turning. But I'm going to respect the work that the committee has done.
I was here. He was, we butted heads, but he made some great points about how to look at the numbers. I think you responded well.
I think this is the first year we're doing this. It will adjust and change. I guess what would be helpful for staff is, we could do zero for fatalities. It's not, they do it different for the serious injuries versus the fatalities. So we can follow their model. We like the working group, the discussions for looking at this as an option. Do we want to just do a reduction in our trend across the board? What's in your packet, or do something different? And then are we going to do a reduction in trend based on what these current numbers? This is what percentage should we choose, and is 5 years an appropriate time frame? Should we put years out and then reevaluate every 2-3 years? And staff can have some input on that, but to have a little bit of direction so we can further hone in on what we should be, how we should refine what we're trying to do today. I think that
Well, I think we have an obligation to do this with zero. We have an obligation to hit that zero target. Just to simply say we want to plan on reducing the amount of crashes, because we're not meeting that obligation. Our goal should be to reduce the amount of crashes we're having every year. We don't want to just go, yeah, granted, the rates are increasing, we just want to do a 2% cut. Well, that is still increasing. So we're not following that obligation. Our goal is to get no crashes, no fatalities. Well, we're going to have crashes, but no fatalities. But, what is practical, what we can achieve, but yet also strive for that target. Ultimately, we don't want to go up looking at the slide, seeing the curve. We don't want to hit it, or we don't want to go red or blue. We want that trend to go down. So what do we do to get that?
I like Bob's idea of setting 2050 at zero fatalities and then mapping it in as a linear line. And then and now, we're gonna go with the 5-year projection, back that in, find what that number is on that line and use that as our 5-year. I think that assumes that we're not making that many improvements to roads where we might get a bigger bump some years, safety projects that are completed. And so that does necessitate the need for us to look at it probably more frequently as major projects are finished, if they're in an area where we know historically we've had. And that would give us a bigger bump in the years, we reevaluate it.
I think that's at the heart of setting the target is, are we reasonably bringing that number down? And if our efforts are despite our best efforts, the number and rate of crashes keeps going up, then it's on us to go back to the drawing board. That's why.
Look at things like, are we funding the right projects that have the most localities? You know, do we need to have a reprioritization when we do the call of projects?
We change our project scoring criteria to weight safety greater. And now we're getting into the strategy. Like I said, every time we talk about this, people have things on it's the crashes on 35, it's the distracted driving. One of the things that would be part of that strategy is the way you all brought back the condition management process. With the projects that come in, data showing whether or not the delay had been reduced. So that would be a great method to say, okay, here was the crash rates, here's the projects we brought forward. Was there measurable reduction in fatalities or injuries or like that? So I would put that forward. We just need to be monitoring this, like Christine said, at a great frequency.
I think before the calls too, you identify those high target areas that we want to see projects come in. Because there might just be a lot of knowledge that there's this much activity happening in the area. We want to make sure that the project is resolve it.
And then SS4A grant is doing that for us. Match that.
So, sounds like what I'm hearing is for fatal crashes, we should follow what TxDOT does, which is 0 fatal crashes by 2050. Do a line, straight line, and back it today.
You had that working group.
Yeah, yes, we do. We can pull that easily. Now, for the serious crashes, TxDOT doesn't do the same. They do the reduction percent. It's different than fatality. Not fatalities. We can do the same for both, or should we do a reduction for serious?
So my question is, if we submit these, we're real in this effort.
Yeah.
We don't need to get on where I'm setting targets. If we put something in our resolution about targets that contradict, align with, it says, we expect targets. Is there any concern with that? If we've done more aggressive or less aggressive, say, is there any minimum cap?
No, I think from what I've read in the guidance, there's no penalties. If you don't meet your targets, MPOs do set targets. We're supposed to work with TxDOT, let them know so that they can understand that we report every year, regardless if that not their targets, we still report that they were doing this. So
I would think political wires that are known, we would want to know on the state whether it's doing.
And then if we're going to do something, let's be more aggressive with the state. Which is probably reasonable because we're closer to the route. We're not looking at it from a massive 300 million people driving around the country. We're looking at different houses. We know the area better than anyone. We probably have technology knowing where that money is best spent for those projects. I would say it's reasonable to be slightly more aggressive with what the state's goals are. And the question, I think we just keep going back to, what's that reasonably more aggressive number? Is it 2%, 5%?
So for serious injury crashes, the state's target is 2% reduction. That's that gray dotted line there. Yellow is at 10%, and 25%. So that's kind of what we're looking at.
What was the recommendation of the committee?
Could we see what 5% looks like? Policy board for the next meeting?
The committee didn't, the working group didn't have a solid recommendation. So yeah, I think for the serious injury, they were comfortable with doing some sort of reduction, but didn't have a specific number. And most of the discussion was around the fatal crashes. Do the 0 by 2050 or something like serious injury where it's a reduction based on the current trend.
Well, I think it's worth reiterating what Andrew and Bob said. It's more responsible at that 0 goal. That language needs to be on the resolution. Whatever we set the target to be, the first thing we establish is what our goal is. And then we can figure out what the number of the target should be. But clear to ourselves and say what our goal is.
And if it would help, Christina, after this meeting, we can send out a revised spreadsheet or something on 0, the target, and then some different options for the serious injury crashes reduction. Maybe if there's a range like 5%, we want to see 10% to 100. We can send out something that's going to be most helpful. This is a very wide range right now.
Yeah, I think if we send out some of those over, no payments for we can afford to
Like Jason, I'd like to see that 5, anywhere between 2 and what does that look like? At least start small, take a bigger chunk, start small, see how we can progress.
I'm going to ask, what is there a distinction made between fatality and serious injury? I understand the definition of death and not dying. But when you have a serious injury, you may be essentially physically dead for the rest of your life. So,
Yeah.
are there different targets between the two variable, Jason?
For us, I would say let's keep the same number to keep it simple. I don't think the state makes their goal is a 2% reduction. For serious injury rate and fatality.
The rate is based on, so the rate is separate. It's a 2% reduction in the number of serious injury crashes. And then the rate is based on the vehicle
Per million.
million vehicle miles traveled. So whatever that divided by that. And then for fatalities, it's 0 by whatever the target is for this year divided by the per million vehicle miles traveled. The rates are kind of dependent on the total number of crashes.
Did I hear, is there a different target set by the state for serious injuries?
Yes, yeah, so I'll go back to this slide. So the 5 bullet points, those are the 5 targets we're required to set. And this is determined by legislation. So there is a separate target for total number of fatal crashes, total number of serious injury crashes.
So the state said 0 by 50.
For fatal crashes.
What about serious injuries?
For serious injuries, they do what I was showing you. So they look at percentage. They look at the.
Oh, just a percentage.
Yeah, they look at the trend from the past 5 years and they project that out another 5 years. And then from 2% less than that projected number is their target for fatal or for serious injury.
Okay, so there's really no goal, it's just mitigating the impact.
Yes. Yes.
Alright.
And I think their rationale behind that is, and we had this discussion of serious injury fatalities, they're really different methods, change their life. But fatal crashes, there's no hope, but serious injury crashes, there's still life. So I think that's
And there's a certain amount of mercy in, dying in a crash.
yes.
As opposed to walking or being hauled away from it. I think it should be a walk-away goal. you should be able to get into a skirmish and walk away from it, regardless. Conceptually speaking.
Being a bit of a governmental conspiracy theorist, I would argue the point that the serious injuries is in part driven by the insurance industry. So that they can do, this is all tied to a federal nexus, so that they can do better analysis on a regional level of insurance liabilities based off of serious injuries. That is just speculation, but the federal government in these studies, it's been my experience, a lot of it is driven by private entities to some degree. Because when you make really, if the incident is serious enough, it is liable. So, anyway. I would ask that right now we've got a baseline based off of 100 motor vehicle miles.
100 million.
Vehicle miles traveled. So all of the percentages, targets, anything that we're talking about are based off of a we're line right now. We're setting them. How often are those numbers updated? In the plan committee, discussed about how to update those numbers. We set a 2% reduction based off today's numbers, but we have a dynamic shift in the amount of vehicle miles traveled in our area, either positive or negative. That target shift is comparatively is going to be skewed against our baseline numbers. So are we adopting baseline numbers just throughout, regardless of any increase or decrease? How do we write that data for us? And how does that fit to us?
So the 2% reduction is based on the total number of crashes, just crashes. The million vehicle miles traveled, our staff actually pulled data from TxDOT to calculate that for our region for 2022. And we'll calculate it for 2023. Each year we'll be able to calculate that. They have guidance and they provide technical support for getting a number just for our region. So it is updated each year. And those rates will fluctuate year to year because the vehicle miles are increasing.
So the baseline will change.
Yeah, so for 2025, it might not. And the tricky thing is it's tied to the total number of crashes because it's the total number of crashes in the region or divided by the number of median. Yeah, okay.
That's what I'm saying, to do a very simplistic analogy. We say 25 crashes, 25 crashes this year, and we've got 1 million vehicle miles. Next year, we have the same 25 crashes, so the total number did not decrease. Now we have 1.5 million vehicle miles traveled. We actually have a better safety record overall. That's what I'm trying to say. It's in our annual calculations. How do we update those so that we're not, so that we are doing a better analysis, trend analysis of where we are? We're about to say, okay, we've got 24 crashes, but we only have 500,000 vehicle miles traveled. Our total number went down, so that we have something back, and then we go, percentage decrease.
Yeah.
Too far.
And I think because this is the first year we've done this, it'll take a couple of years to get something like that. That we can experience as a region. Because since this started, we've adopted the state's targets. So we annually we will be reviewing and we'll be able to and similar to the condition management process
why there's 5 categories. There's wrong fatalities and there's the mileage rate. We talked about the safety group that, yes, we've had more crashes in that region. Also got people, more crashes, more miles driven, all things being equal. You're probably going to have those numbers to go as the population goes up. That's why normalizing against the miles traveled gives you a way to say, still go back to 25 fatalities is too many. So that's why you have the raw numbers separate from that rate. Maybe it would be useful, when you get into the analysis strategy part of this. What is our, I don't think they have this, we can get our regional vehicle miles traveled, that number is available. So we can chart that. Yeah, how has our population grown? How has our BMT grown over time? And then put that against the crash rate. That might be useful.
We can get that.
Yeah. And then you can, what's the rate of crashes? And if we want to rate this, you can chart that rate over time. The rate increasing or fluctuating, whatever it may be. So then we can, once we start tracking this more, we'll have a better idea of what the reasonable target might look at. So we may set it at 5 years from now, go, well, that's long. To start, start somewhere.
And I think that goes to, and I go right at the side, discussion obviously, goes back to, in my mind, this is all a metric determining for our processes, strategy, achieving our goals
In a measurable way.
measurable way. Because yes, we'd like to say that, okay, we can pinpoint 5 or 10 or 10%, whichever, I mean, pick it. It is your processes and strategy support whatever. That's the really at the heart of what we're talking about is not, the actual number. If we're doing anything on the positive side, that's good. It is a measure of whatever processes and strategies we're formulating and implementing. Are they coming close to achieving those targets? So, those are key words that I wrote down.
Brian, you can try to get a word in for.
So you've got fatal crashes, serious injury crashes, and body crashes. Yes. Okay. Fatal crashes, somebody dies. Of course, they are serious injury, or they said, because if you have let's say you have a serious, you go to the hospital. Go 3 months later, the person dies. That reported somehow, the database died, or we got a bigger number for your severe injury. Well, severe injury, they die. Or the injuries that are like something. Those actually set forth. I guess I got a question. And so we increased focus on the house. That probably lowered. I guess, are we able to capture it? I don't know how the municipality or, say, Department of Public Safety, database and all that. Please fill out a report. It may be 2 months before you get the report or 1 month. Right. Is that right? Okay, what is it? Before that? That's cool. Okay, another thing is, not just, okay, so you got him on the collision, one person dies, one person seriously injured. Well, they both die. Is that one fatal crash? Or is that two fatal crashes? One incident?
So, I'll share.
So if you have a multi-car wreck, only with 5 cars, people died, and 15 other people were seriously injured. How's that documented?
So it's documented as one fatal crash. There is another number that, and we have access to that. But I think for the purposes of this, we're looking at if we eliminate that crash, then we eliminate all of it. As part of that crash. I think that's as far as the data goes, we're pulling this from the statewide Chris database, which is based on which reports are filed, and I think those are good questions to ask about the accuracy of that data. And there's some of them that are people if they're serious injury. I don't think this data is, I know there's a lot of people that work really hard at validating it and curing it and doing the best they can before it's submitted. Police officers are given have a lot more done, so they can only do the best they can. So we're working with the numbers we have. I think it's fairly accurate in terms of documenting how many crashes there are, and is someone died in that crash, failed crash. If no one died, then it's not a failed crash.
It's one crash.
It's one crash.
3 people died, there's one crash. Usually there's a, but again, like you said, pedestrian. So when you do a risk report, you look in there, you can see if there's an accident, and then, okay, there's a pedestrian or bike involved. And those are filters, so you can get a number, but you can't get that double count. When we look at it for our purposes, municipality crashes, and then I'm going to say, well, we're all pedestrian crashes. And focus on, filter out, add your specific. You know, what's our target? What do we really want to address? You know, we know that pedestrians and bikes are, those injuries, those accidents are increasing. Because more people are starting to use that mode of transportation. You know, so as part of the strategies, that's when we start developing the strategies. Like, okay, we see more of an increase in this type of accident. Or, you know, maybe get double numbers. We look at overall how many accidents, but then focus on the next section. Okay, we have overall accidents going up. Of those, these are only pedestrian accidents. These are the areas. These are the areas we need to focus and address. And that's kind of what the whole strategy, developing the strategy, developing the plan. It's how we, what do we do to reduce? But sometimes, though, if you have a pedestrian, most likely those are accidents of some sort. Most likely there's going to be an injury on a pedestrian bike accident. So these are probably double counted in how this is described.
You do the filters for crash severity, we should say this is a fatal crash, this is an injury crash. Or you can filter by person injury severity. And then it will say, a person killed, a person injured. So I think looking at the federal targets, it's not crashes. So it's incumbent on us to make sure we're using the right filter. I'm sure you are, but good thing to double check, because I've caught myself doing that. Doing someone else's. Matter of fact, I think that was the one I mentioned. Concerns about Adams and Cedar. There was one fatality, there was something like 20 crashes. But of those crashes, I want to say it was like 56 injuries. So there were more injuries than crashes. I think that's a good point. Make sure we're pulling from this database that we're using the right filter. We know which application versus lunches.
Now, check. Federal guidelines, they want crashes. That's a good thing for us to know.
Again, one
shows us what the project is going to solve. So, again, pull this out the weeds, you get into the weeds for your strategies and your project delivery, project development. But let's just make sure we know what numbers we're doing, set the target, and then we can get into the how we form the plan of attack.
This is just going to the policy board for discussion. So you can go see more information. A possible resolution. Staff, you know, in order to put in on this at the next meeting. And time for us to meet our deadline. And if you have any additional feedback, feel free to reach out to staff or anything else on this? All right, seeing none, we'll move to agenda item 8 regarding an update on the safe streets and roads for all grant
Just a couple of updates on that. Today, safety summit, $1 app on November 6th. A lot of good input and feedback from all across our region. We have set up a safety task force that will be monthly starting next week, I believe, just to guide the development of the plan. And then this month, there's a lot of public engagement events. There's one in Santana on this past Saturday. And then we have one tomorrow in Cameron. Friday will be in Carter Heights, and Saturday Temple at the hospital event. We're also, a lot of people we've discussed or met with, staff and the project team are set up meetings, leadership meetings to get specific feedback on areas or entity where there are issues or where there are projects. We're still seeing those ones, so if you haven't heard from us and want one of those meetings, reach out. And then also we have these little cards. There's a website for engagement and has a lot of information. So it has a bunch. If you want them, you can QR code to the website and
Maybe we could do one of those. Throw it out. I'd also for the just another update on that SS4A. We've been in communication with Federal Highways because due to timing concerns and getting the project kicked off, and we had a really aggressive timeline of being done in time for some cities to submit projects under the upcoming project call. That being said, they have accelerated the upcoming project call February, March time, which was originally going to be around April. And what we'd like to, that's still, I don't think it's an annual goal, so we'll be asking for an extension on some of our deliverables, period of performance, go well for the entire 2 years. December 25, July 2025, with the intent that we would be done well before December 2024. Additionally, we found out that, while we were still going to try to get some projects submitted in the February, March timeframe, you have to have the plan complete and adopted before you can apply, not just before that work is actually funded. So even if we had part of the project in there, we wouldn't be eligible based on the project development process. And the
Because we had hoped that we were going to be able to have some projects to submit at the April 24. That's not really, it's just, I mean, there's not, just no way we can pull that off. So we will be hard pressed from our standpoint to be able to get any implementation funding for the FY24 funding side. So yes, DOT doesn't come back and grant us some type of variance or leniency. We will probably take a little more time to do a little bit more thorough planning process and just try to have a stronger project list to submit for FY25.
That's kind of what we're going with too, because we don't want to rush the process. We want our plan to be as comprehensive as it can. And not only to include projects that are eligible for SS4A funding for years to come, or SIP funding, the other state funding projects that may be out there. So we're probably going to dial back the aggressiveness with which we were moving forward. Originally going to do that phased, we'll get 6 projects in this fall. Offices, this is the plan right now, and then we'll amend it. That process just isn't going to work out. Talking with federal highways, I will say that conversations at the TEMPO meeting, we're pretty far along in the process. There are still people that are waiting on their agreements to make it work. We got that to off. We're moving forward with our. Any other questions? If you have a packet, you'll be able to see our packet. We have our SS4A logo, plan, and packet. I think we have these cards that are available. Feel free to grasp them if you'd like. Any other questions? Agenda item 9. This is my favorite item. Regarding an update on the possible MPO boundary expansion. All right. Page 3 of your packet is the same sentence you've seen for a number of months, possibly a year. We do have a new MPO coordinator at TxDOT in Austin. I've shared our previous conversations. I did speak with him last week in Austin, and him and the transportation planning director down there were talking about possibly coordinating a meeting between the 2 district offices, the MPO coordinator, and myself, possibly the chair, for some additional conversations. But I expressed to him that staff have already had these conversations with the district, so we really just like the information we requested. I'm waiting once again on additional response, on another response from our new coordinator. Any questions on the boundary expansion? All right. Item 10 is a discussion item regarding TxDOT updates on major construction projects in the KTMPO area. I believe Michael is here from TxDOT. There it is.
And, so I think everybody knows who I am this time. Last time was the first time I presented, but I'm Mike Gates. I'm the area engineer for the Belton area office. So this is an update for December on our currently active construction projects in Belton. Obviously, in every meeting we talk about in the street, November 7th, 2000 was the last time that we had Deathville State and State of Texas on the roads. Every project that we do is an effort to try to get there. So the first project I'm going to talk about is probably the one that's been impacting people the most. That's our State Loop 121 project. We led it in August 21. When I gave this update in June, I believe, we were heading towards our kind of major traffic switch, where we put traffic onto the northbound lanes that we just finished constructing. That happened early in November, I believe. So we are currently on track to finish all of 24. Project costs $29 million. Here's some pictures. This was just before we did the traffic switch. You can see the pavement was down. We'd already striped it. We were finishing up some things like the bridge rail on the bridge over the railroad tracks there by just south of Sparta. The new phase that we've shifted into is phase 3. Basically, like I said, we've got traffic now on the northbound half of the road while we construct the southbound side. So it's kind of some examples of what that looks like. So the next projects are the Nolanville and Belton widening projects on I-14. So anybody who drives it during the day, it looks like it's done. We basically, given really the maintenance on the roadway items on both of those two projects, we are essentially waiting on Encore to install meters so that we can get the sub in to complete the lighting and traffic stuff so that we can finish the project. We've been waiting on Encore for a long time. So those projects are both substantially complete. We're just trying to finish up some small ones. Next project is our US 190 Rogers Bypass project. Project is scheduled to complete late next year. Currently, our primary work items are earthwork and bridges. We did do a major traffic switch in May. This photo is kind of showing a lot of the earthwork. That's, I believe, the FM 437 crossing. And it kind of shows like that bridge was constructed, it was a top-down construction. That was the original grade line of existing grade was about where the top of that bridge is. And so in these areas, we're cutting 25 feet. And so that's kind of what we're really doing right now is we're in that mass excavation effort right now. We have started doing our base work and even some paving work and through there, but you know, unless you happen to be a property owner, you're not seeing this work because you can't see the current highways. That is on the left is MSC retaining wall that we're doing. I believe that is the wall at Kiner Road 113 on the east end of the project, which is actually in Milam County. And then the other one is when we're replacing beams for our bridge over the BNSF crossing, which is on the west side of Rogers. So our next project is our FM 2410 project. It's a rehabilitation project. We began work on it in June. Text Materials is about a $9.5 million project. Currently doing widening work, base widening in preparation of doing our full depth rehabilitation. I believe when I gave this presentation before, we were talking about trying to accelerate the mill and inlay portion that is over by the high school in Harker Heights. We did get that done before school started. And so that way we were not impacting traffic in front of the school with our projects. We should be finishing this project probably early summer. Because of the nature of the rehab work, we're probably going to suspend time until sometime in February because of the colder temperatures and the wet weather that we're likely to be. State Highway 95. So we're replacing 4 bridges on 95 from just south of Holland and then 3 bridges to north. We started work on this project in July. Chase Construction Group is a contractor. We currently are nearing completion on the first half of the bridge at Willow Creek. And we've started the first half of the bridge at Khaki Creek. Each one of these bridges is phase construction. So we're demoing half the bridge, replacing that one, switching traffic, and then doing the other half of each bridge. So in 2 locations, we currently have traffic reduced to 1 lane signal. We should be finishing this project sometime towards the end of the summer of 25. That shows, that was right before we poured the bridge rail on the one at Willow Creek. So should be switching traffic to the side. Once we switch traffic, the bridge is enough wider that we can get 2 lanes open. So we'll see the traffic start improving each time we move through that process. Let's see, so we have 2 median barrier projects that I talked about last time. We had just started the one through between Temple and through Heidenham, Fort Rogers. That project is now complete. We're in closeout with the contractor on that one. The median barrier project on I-14 from Mill Springs to 2410. Contractor's actively working on it. They've removed the old cable barrier. Right now they're working on getting the steel down for the rail foundation for the new rail that we're going to cast along there. Once we get done with that, then they're putting pedestrian rail, like it's like a plastic rail that goes on top of it to discourage pedestrians from crossing, right? Anybody who's been paying attention to fatal crashes knows that we've had a number of fatal pedestrian crashes on I-14 through Killeen. So I would expect, we've been having some conversations just in the room about doing something similar on I-35 and Temple, because we have had a few happen kind of between 301 and 304 in Temple recently also. So we were talking about that, but we have to project. So, let's see. West Central Bridge Rehab. So right down here on West Central, it's a city bridge. We're going through a rehabilitation project for it. We just let it, work started in November. Expected completion date's November 2024. They're moving pretty good on it, so hopefully it won't take that long. It's just shy of $900,000 project. Basically, it's fall repair, bridge rail replacement. It is a historic bridge. It probably would have been less expensive to replace it. But because it's a historic bridge, we can't. And so we'll have the bridge closed until we've completed at least the rail and any surface work. And we're doing intermittent closures on the sidewalk that runs underneath it. That has been a little bit of a challenge for us because the community is not very happy when we close that sidewalk. I think they care more about the sidewalk than they do about the road over the top of it. So, 95 turn lanes project. So this project, we just started last week. And we're currently starting some culvert extensions. This project is to constructing turn lanes on State Highway 95, between Barnhart and a little bit south of Black Line Road. I believe turn lanes actually serve the new Black Line Road alignment. Like I said, we started charging time last week. The project had 6 months of barricades in it, so that's the anticipated duration. So, you know, it's moving, it's not a very big project. And so we're expecting to go pretty fast. The challenge is a lot, I think weather is our potential at this point on completing this one quickly, so.
Michael, on that one, you planning on keeping both north and south truck lanes open, have the barricade on where the turn lanes are going?
Yeah, I believe that we're not gonna have to reduce it to 1 lane. The track control plans didn't show that. And so that's the plan right now. It is a Super 2 configuration currently, so it has fairly wide shoulders now, which gives us some room to move things around. So
we've been working with our communication department to just put that out there for people's awareness. You know, if anything is going to change, something we need to push out to our citizens.
Absolutely.
Please let me know. I'll get on it.
Yeah, absolutely. And I don't expect it to be significant. Like the impacts are going to be when we go to do the overlay, because that's the full width.
Yep.
But I'm guessing that'll probably happen at night. But if it does happen during the day, it'd be a short-term flagger type operation. Right. But we'll definitely take into account traffic and try to do it at times that are least impactful, and we'll communicate those closures. So our next project is our 201 Mill and Inlay. This project has let, but we have not started construction. We have time suspended until mid-February due to winter temperatures. It's a paving project. We're putting down stone matrix asphalt, which is pretty sensitive to temperatures when you place it. And so that's the reason why we did that time suspension. Pre-construction conference we will do when we're a little closer to starting the project. So, but we did 201 from the starting point on this north to I-14 last year, and so this is kind of a continuation of that. It's just a mill and inlay project. So, again, this went to Texas Materials. I don't think I mentioned it before, but they're also doing our turn lanes project and our 2410 project. So we'll keep it there pretty full. That was it. Does anybody have any questions? We have been talking to them. So we didn't, their question was, are we gonna solve the problem for them? Because they have to extend their turn lane. And the answer was no. So we are trying to coordinate with them, at least so we end up with their surface when they redo their turn lanes matches our surface when we're milling inlay. Based on the stuff I've seen from schedule, will probably be done before they are. Yeah, they've come talk to me a couple times.
Hey, is there a way that you put a link or something on the COG website? That you can update the public? All people asking these questions, I say, oh, next time, oh, we can get a hold of blah, blah, blah. If there's a link really easy for them to get, I can just say, go to COG and get updated. Is there a way of doing something like that?
We're in a public meeting. You're welcome to host the presentation.
You don't have to do it every time, like every quarter or something like that. People call me and
I don't know that we have publicly this type of information out there that's readily available, but we're happy to answer questions when people call. Even when the conversation's not as pleasant as we'd like.
This is a public meeting, it's been recorded, so anything that is shown here will be available. Anything else?
Excuse me, I have a question for Michael. I was just wondering, what is the height of those barriers on I-14? What will that be?
The new ones that we're casting,
Yes, sir.
42 inches. And then they'll have the pedestrian rail over and above that, and I would have to look, but I think they're 18 inches.
Okay. And
But I'm going off of memory.
that's fine. Has there been any discussion about an alternate route for the pedestrians to cross over I-14?
That's not part of what we've been talking about with this. I will tell you, in a lot of these places, like we do a fatal review every month on the crashes that happen in our entire district. And the trends that I've been seeing personally, and this is an opinion,
Okay.
the trends I've been seeing personally is that many of these crashes are relatively close to where there's cross streets with grade separations and that kind of stuff.
Okay.
Like the crash, for example, one of the crashes we had on 35 was within like 100 feet of the Loop 363 bridge over I-35 up where Buc-ee's is. So do we need to have options for people? Absolutely. Is that the reason why we're having these crashes, is that we don't have options? That's not what I'm seeing. So.
Thank you for clarifying that.
No problem.
All right. Thank you for the update. Moving on to 11, discussion item regarding public input received through November 2023.
come in since the last meeting, 2 on ADA access, been submitted to us, and then a safety concern on FM 935, kind of by the Falls County line. It's 90 degrees, don't know it's 90 degrees, they don't move over there, so they run off the road or something. Those are
And we shared it.
I believe. It's on 935. I'll pull up my, forward it to you.
I've gotten it.
Okay,
Oh, he's got it.
And we are looking into it.
okay.
Any? All right, seeing none, we'll move to agenda item 12, which is member comments. Any members have anything with the TAC? All right, seeing none, agenda item 13, the meeting is adjourned at